guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another live stream. It's the FIN-tastic Thursday live stream, where we, have a bit of fun on the Thursday evening. I hope you guys are all doing all right and that your Thursday is going well. If it's not, well, we're here for you with the live stream. Today we got something exciting. We've got our first guest of the year on. I'll bring him on in a little bit. You guys probably already know by the title and thumbnail who it is. So that's what we got planned for tonight. We don't have nothing really else planned, so I don't have no quiz, nothing like that. Reason for that is because we got the guest, so you know that makes more sense. So yeah, without further ado, I'll bring Adam on. Let's see if I can click the right thing. Here. There we go. Adam is on. There we go. Well, welcome, Adam. Thank you for coming on the live stream. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of getting used to because I need to, make sure everything's going right and everything, because it's also for me the first time I'm actually doing it like this. So I I keep an eye on a few things. I'll just ask the chat if they can hear you, me, and everybody.
Well, we get the check through. That's what we've been doing the past 10 minutes, innit?
Yeah, exactly. And a few things went wrong, and but I think we should be all right. I think. Are we? I think if people just put a thumbs up or whatever, or hit the like button. Then that way I also know.
That's a good way. Hit the like button. Maybe a cheeky donation as well.
Yeah. Already at 10 likes,
Wow.
So, yeah, that's all good. Okay, sounds good, William says. I can bring up chat just like normal and it's there. The only annoying thing is like I said, where I'll try and make it better for you. So if I do this, this one, you can see the stream now, yeah?
Yeah, I can see the stream.
Okay, that's probably a bit better. I hope there's not like... The only thing is there a double sound coming through?
No.
No, but maybe not on your end, but maybe on the stream's output end. I'm not sure. People will have to say about that.
Yeah.
But I think we're good. And this will make it a bit easier because now if I select some kind of chat here, you can also see that, yeah?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, that's good. All right, let's say hellos first to people in chat. I think that's always good to do. So we got Tommy in here.
Nice to see Tommy.
Yeah, nice to see Tommy. We got Aquarium Man 2024. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
We got Gordon here. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Gordon.
Mike is here, of course. Nice to see you,
Mike.
Mia is here, your girlfriend. Nice to see you. How are you doing? We got Joseph in here. Welcome.
See you, Joe.
We got William, of course. We got William here. Sarah's here. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Who else? Did I get everyone? Oh, Zenny is here as well. Nice to see you, Zen.
Hey, Mandy.
She says, happy belated birthday, Jack. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Does it feel any different to be a real live adult now?
That was going to be one of my questions. You can finally stream on TikTok now.
Yeah, well, that's one thing, which I've already done one stream on TikTok now. It's a bit different than YouTube, though. It's,
It's the Wild West on there, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very unhinged.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. But, I mean, other than that, the only differences really are that I can drive on my own now and those type of things. And then I have to pay more stuff.
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
It gets way more expensive from you, Chief.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, anyway, right, let's have a look. Sound is fine, good. We got Mr. G in here, nice to see you.
Martin, nice to see you.
How you doing? There you go, Zenny's already put all your links in. Can you believe it?
Oh,
we haven't even asked, and she's already done it.
Straight to it.
I know. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. I think that's everyone. Oh, we got Fish Fam link, of course, as well.
Of course.
Yep. Awesome. All right, that's everything in chat for now. The thing is, during the actual live, I probably won't be looking too much to chat. Well, I'll keep an eye on chat, but a bit less interaction because, of course, I got questions for you, and things like that. I did prepare a few things, so usually I'm unprepared, but I did prepare a few general questions and then a few specific questions for you.
Okay.
I think in total there's like, what, 11 or 12, something like that. And then there's also space for questions from people in chat. So if people in chat have got questions, I'll actually put a thing here. If you have any questions for Adam, then please put them in chat. I'll pin that so people can see that. All right, good. I'm just thinking, do we want this setup, or I have another setup as well, which is, now this is a bit weird because wait, that's not gonna work. See, that's the only thing with this. It technically would work if I do this. So the only downside is then you can't see the stream, but for you can't see what it looks like now. But now it's like we're both like split screen, which it does look pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll ask what the people in chat think is best, because this looks. Well, I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest with you. Is anybody saying anything? Oh, we got Sarah in here as well. Sketty Nona, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Oh, Echo. Oh, wait, Echo. Okay, so that's not good. Oh, of course, that makes sense. Okay, so if there's Echo, okay. See, I told you this would take some getting used to. Like, okay, so wait, now Echo should be gone.
Okay.
I think, is it still? Let's see. Right. Okay, Echo's gone. So okay, I got that sorted. But do we like this better? That's the only question, because you can't see me. Or right. There you go. Great. Okay, so it's the thing what people prefer, because I guess for the first part we'll do that other thing where you can see me or see the stream, so you can see the questions a bit better. I think that's good.
Yeah. I think
okay, so let's get that sorted. So if I go here and then that one. Okay, now you're gonna see yourself duplicate. But now it should be good, because then if I got a question pop up, you can read that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's better. Okay, we'll just go with that for now. I think that looks pretty good as well. All right, cool. So what I planned for my questions was that I would just literally copy them and then put them in the chat so other people can see them, but I can also like highlight it here.
Okay.
So I'll just do that and then I can click it. You can see it now, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it? Okay, cool. So yeah, first question, I mean, I guess is like, can you tell us a bit about you, what you do, things like that? For people who may not know you, because there might be people who don't know you, who are you, what do you do, etc., etc.
Okay, so I make fish keeping content, of course, but I also work in a fish shop, so it's a bit weird, and that's a whole rabbit hole to go down later on. But basically, I make like aquascaping videos, fish shop tours, informational videos and stuff like that as well. Collaborative ones with like my Discord and community, where if they like upload stuff, then I can make a video on that too. Just a little bit of everything, like fish related, really. And I set on like what exactly I'm going to be doing? No, I think I enjoy doing a mix of everything, because I feel like it restrains my creativity if I just set myself on one thing. Because if I were to do it what YouTube does, or no, what YouTube likes in terms of shop tours, then I'd be up and down the country every day of the week, and that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm not driving either, so that's something I probably need to get doing. But yeah, it's just a mix of everything really fish related.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Nice. I think I got second question here. It's gonna take me a little thing of putting them in every time, but I think it's better for the long run. Second question, well, logical question is, how did you get into fish keeping? You know, what was the first? Well, I guess what was the first point, or your first, maybe even your first fish? I don't know if that's a separate question or not, but how did you get into fish keeping?
So there's 2 points where I got into fish keeping. There's fish keeping as a kid, and then there's fish keeping as an adult. And I'll start off as a kid to do the whole backstory. We had a goldfish from day one since I was a baby. I grew up. We had a big goldfish named Jaws. He was like knee big in a bowl, which again we now know isn't the right way to keep fish, especially with how my mum used to decide to wash the fish and the bowl at the same time with washing up liquid. But that fish lived a very long time. He lived about 22 years, I think. He was like gifted. So initially he was in a nursery, then passed on to our neighbour, who was my mum's mother-in-law, and then she passed it on to us, and we had him for like 10 years or so. And that was like my first entry point, getting into the hobby of just, liking fish. I've always had fish in our house. So then as I got a little bit older, I had this obsession that I wanted a very big tank indoors with golden tench. That never happened. And ended up getting a shabunkin and a goldfish. And we got like one of them light bars before the LED lights even. I'm not that old, I'm only 25, but my dad, because he'd kept fish previously, like years and years back, like 20, 30 years ago, even before I was born, it was them big light bars that went across. And yeah, we had them fish for like a couple of years, and then they passed. And then as an adult, I entered the hobby when I was around 18, yeah. And before then, I'd been sat watching YouTubers and like people online, like doing videos and like aquarium co-op, and I was absorbing a lot of information from all over the place. And I had this like obsession over like betta fish and fighter fish. I think it's like a very attractive fish for a beginner in the hobby. The finnage, the colours, how personable they are. Of course, there's the downsides with the aggression, etc., etc. But that's what drew me in. And I'd started doing my research, so I ended up with my first tank in the beginning of 2019. My mum said no. I walked in, snuck it in when she wasn't home, set it up, and she went, "Oh, it's actually quite nice." And then went down the rabbit hole and ended up starting to make videos.
Yeah.
Last year? No, it wasn't even last year. 23, end of 23, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good, you know. I think a lot of people, well, I mean, maybe some people, you know, also have the same thing of like they, you know, as a kid, they had maybe a goldfish or, you know, something like that. But then, you know, later on in life, actually developing the real fish keeping love and hobby, you know? Because, I mean, keeping a goldfish in a bowl is just the standard thing, but it's not really what you should be doing. And it's not really fish keeping, you know?
No.
I think that's, that's pretty cool. I can see we had a few new people as well. Just as a side note, we got Jesse in here, we got Jody in here.
Nice.
Nice to see you guys. I think that's, pretty much everyone there. Cool. So I guess the next question is, how many tanks do you have in total?
4. Technically 2 in my place, 2 in my girlfriend's. One that's just a home tank now, and I've just set up a 125, and I'm going to be stocking that this weekend, so I'm really happy about that. It's been taking way too long to cycle. But yeah, 3 at the moment, I know it says 7 in my name. People like to roast me about it on a consistent basis. I will soon have 7 tanks, don't you worry. It's just not sustainable at the moment until I move out, of course.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's nice, and I guess yeah, once you get move out, you can have more tanks, and
Yeah,
you know.
it's like it's it's quite difficult because I wanna set up a load of aquascapes, but then the fish keeper and the hobbyist in me really wants to set up breeding setups as well. So it's like I'm trying to find this balance at the moment where I want to set up a really nice looking tank, but also have it comfortable enough for the fish to breed in and like fit to naturally happen. Because I like the idea of breeding fish, but I don't like the idea of just having some people have just sand on the bottom with like a cave or two and then have it as that. And like I find that it's just not stimulating enough for me. But having like something like that behind me, if I didn't have the Epistone, I'm sure I would have had Tetra babies or Corridora fry. But I can't get rid of the Epistone now. I'm too attached to them.
Mm,
But that's it. But that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I'd like to try and find that balance, and I'll be documenting that as the channel matures.
yeah, yeah. So I'm guessing then what you mean is like you want to breed fish, but at the same time you also want that natural habitat tank
Mm.
feel, right?
Yeah,
So I guess more like a studio would suit you better than an actual maybe like fish room, because I mean I guess a fish room can also be in that way, um, but in my head a fish room is like all breeding tanks, maybe
yeah.
just specifically for breeding,
I
um,
mean, I could get away with like when I move out. I think I've got like a bit of an idea of what I'll have. Is that I think I'll have like the main display tanks, like beautiful looking ones that are like nicely aquascaped, like proper ones, like spread it one maybe a big one or a couple little ones around the living room, and then in a room I'd probably have like a shrimp rack, obviously my office, but then like maybe one or two more displays. It's just hard to figure out until it happens, but
mm,
it's kind of what I've got in mind. I wouldn't mind breeding stuff, but at the same time, it's not something that like a lot of people get into breeding for the wrong things. I've had this conversation with my boss. He prolifically was breeding fish for a long time before he opened the shop, and it's just it's like people get into breeding for profit, and it's not something that I want to do for profit. It's something like if I set up a like when it really inspired me when I went to Harry's the first time round, and he had like really nice aquascape tanks, but he started with 3 pygmy cories and now no 3 panda cories and now has over 33, like that. Like if I could set up that and have like prolific breeding and then be like happy with them, then that'd be cool. But it's one of them. Can you? I had this a bit of a debate with someone saying, "Can you call that breeding or just luck?" And I'd say, yeah, it's more luck. You're not
mm,
prolifically breeding fish and getting success. You're just doing it for the fun.
yeah, yeah. I think that's good because well, recently, no, that's a couple of months ago. I put a video out on breeding fish for profit and how it's like it's different than what people think. Like people think is like it's super easy to, get a bunch of fish, get a bunch of tanks, and then breed them and make a living out of it. But that's just not really that easy at all.
No, no.
And also, it really, if you're doing it that way, it takes the fun element out of it. I find at least.
Yeah,
Because I first started off with breeding, a lot of stuff just for fun, and then selling those, but then going into actually breeding to sell for profit and breeding on like a bigger scale. But then I did find, it didn't make the breeding as fun anymore, and well, that's when I cut back a bit and like, bought fish from wholesale and then sell that. That's like a different way of doing it. But now I'm getting a bit more into the breeding again, and what I'm finding is I don't really want to breed things at a mass scale or like tons of them,
Yeah.
but more just enjoy the actual fish breeding and maybe seeing them do it and how they do it, and you know, those type of things. So yeah.
Like I was saying to you as well, like people getting into it for the wrong like reasons. When I went to catfish auction a couple months ago, there was a guy there who was like, he was really friendly, don't get me wrong, but he had no idea about fish, and like he was doing the right thing. He was going around to all the older guys who are quite knowledgeable that were like breeders. He was saying, "Oh, who's the guy who breeds all these?" So like you go over and sit next to him and like be like a bit of a sponge or whatever. But he was just running around and like he was asking people like what fish should I buy that I can breed for profit. So he was only there to buy them to then breed on for profit. And like the whole conversation is that you will never really make profit because the amount of time you spend keeping the fish, sitting on the fish, breeding them, rearing them, feeding them, like by the time you balance it all out, you break even at best. You'd be lucky to. So it's not a thing that massively interests me in, as you said, the large production scale things, just for the fun of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially, I guess, you know, it depends on what situation you are. Like, if you're just solely like, say you have an angelfish pair, you have, you know, say 100 good angelfish fry, right? You raise those up. By the time you got them to a sellable size, it's taking you at least a good 4 or 5 months, maybe even 6 months, right? In that time, you know, you've had to spend electricity costs. Well, water's not that expensive usually, but you know, water costs, maybe light costs, and then also feeding costs, of course, and then the time you're putting in, you know, and then you think about it, you might have 100 of them. Well, you can either sell them to your own customers, then you can sell them for a bit more, but it's going to take you longer to sell. Or say you sell them to a shop more at a time, but at a lower price. You know, you're only going to maybe make a couple $100 in the end, but still, it's not going to be that much. And if you really want to do it, you know, for full time, you're going to have to do it way more and bigger scale and everything like that. And then, like I said, that takes the fun out of it. I guess where it makes a bit more sense is, like, for example, for me, you know, if I breed my own fish, then that fish I can sell at a consumer price, because that's what I do. You know, I sell fish at shop prices. Well, I undercut them a little bit, but then it makes a bit more sense because I also don't have to buy the fish in. So, you know, because a shop has a bigger customer base already, I already have a bit of a bigger customer base. But if you are like solely just, you know, a person breeding a couple of fish, nobody knows about you and that you're breeding them, then it's going to be more difficult to, well, sell them and, you know, all the rest of it.
It's like I had that conversation with DJ Aquatic before he shut up shop and left the hobby, and he was saying about like zebra plecos and like he was hoping, but he'd been sat on them for like 2, almost 3 years. I think it was a long period anyway, and like it takes them like a good few years to mature, and then the chances of that fish even breeding, like a lot of people were. There was that craze when they're like a couple of years ago where people were just mass buying zebra plecos, trying to breed them as much as possible, and it's just not sustainable. It's not something that's gonna boost the influx of zebra plecos, because it's going to be a lot of people waiting and hoping and praying that they can get the numbers up. And it's like them kind of fish as well, they're not going to be in the hobby for much longer, because they're probably going to start to dwindle out as a result of it. So it's find the alternatives and then finding something that breeds easier but looks similar. There's so many things that go into like breeding as a whole, like the larger scale of breeding, that it's just just leave it to the farms and the bigger mass production places that are able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I got into, well, when I wanted to get like discus and stuff, I had a ton of people telling me like, oh yeah, if you get into discus, you can make X amount of money a month and you can produce so many babies a month and blah, 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 and if you have 6 pairs, well, I can guarantee you, breeding discus, you're going to spend at least 3, 4, 5 years just trying to breed from one pair, getting them consistent. And like even now, I'm still not consistent with babies, and it's something always happens, and then you get this and that. It's just like, you know, you're not gonna make that much money from just breeding one type of fish. Like for you to make money, like how do you think the big farms in, you know, Indonesia and stuff make money? They breed at a massive scale. They have tons of fish, like hundreds of thousands of fish, you know, and then even then they don't make millions, you know. So
The good
yeah,
thing though that comes from it, of course, obviously, like large scale profit wise, it's not great. But then there's always a place in the hobby for breeders. Like in our shop, we want to change all the labels to like turquoise or green label. Now we want to turn it into like a green label because we have the white labels for fish that have been imported in, but having the green labels is like showing people that we're supporting local breeders. So that, and like we are doing a decent like price as well, so they're not getting screwed over like they may have done in the past from other places. Like we're trying to open the doors more to breeders, and like having a lot more captive bred fish as well is a good thing too. As long as you keep that gene pool going as well, because then that saves us from, you know, pulling fish out of a river somewhere if they're not bred cap like within the hobby and stuff like that. Like it's a good way to keep it in. There's a lot of pros and cons, but I think like, okay, you may not be making a lot of money, but then you make like you're funding and keeping the hobby like fresh. You're still keeping it moving and like helping it flourish.
yeah, that's good. I mean, I guess the point where I was like getting is not so much that, you know, you shouldn't breed at all, like breeding is bad. No, breeding is good. It's a good way to sustain your hobby and pay a couple of the bills maybe, you know, but it's just breeding for profit to scale where you can live off just breeding, that's difficult, you know.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. Anyway, let's move on. I thought this was funny though. Sarah said water is extortionate where I am. So I'm guessing it's
To be
expensive.
to be fair, I got a notification earlier saying that the water cost percentage is going up by 20% in the
Wow.
UK. Yeah. Where does the Brexit is really done us bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think here in the Netherlands, water is really not that expensive. I mean, I don't quite know what the water bill is, but it's not that expensive. I guess we have tons of it, you know. Half of the Netherlands would be flooded if we didn't have our dunes and our dikes. So, you know, we have enough water. But I'm quite interested, you know, to know how much like a water bill can be, you know.
Yeah, I don't know roughly off the top of my head, but
Oh wait,
I
she says here $250 every 2 months just to be connected before any actual water usage.
yeah.
That's mad. That's high.
Yeah, that's kind of like how it goes. You pay like the monthly, but then on top there's like an additional of how much you use. And if you go over like a threshold, I think it goes like double or more expensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabbit hole.
That is mad. And I guess Zen makes a good point as well about, you know, zebra peckers, they take so long to mature as well before you can breed them. Like they have to be at least 3 years old before you might produce a couple of babies. So then if you're looking at breeding for profit, okay, that means I have to wait at least 3 years, plus then say a year, 2 years for the babies to grow. So I need to wait 5 years to get a bit of money, you know, just from a big investment. So that first has to be paid off. So you're talking like 10 years before you make any return on an investment with zebra plecos. So it's like,
it's just not like doable in the long run.
no.
I think, like a lot of fish breeders come to that realization. There's people out there that still do it, and that's great. They're the ones that are keeping that fish like alive in the hobby, but it's very difficult for the average person to go, right, I'm gonna get zebra plecos, I'm gonna flip it. Like it's not happening.
No, exactly. All right, I think we'll move on to the next question because it joins in quite nicely. Is this, what element of fish keeping excites you the most?
Well, we went over breeding, and it does excite me, but that isn't what does it for me. I think, like, I'm torn because I really, really have like gotten into aquascaping a lot more recently, and it's something that I really enjoy. But then there's aspects of aquascaping where I'm like, I just to the average, like me, Joe's in the chat or in the live right now, and we're back and forth. And because obviously he's been helping me in a collaborative part of the new tank setup, and I'm like, he's like, you've got to stock it so lightly, and I'm like, oh, but I don't want to do that. I know that I can get more. As a fish keeper, you can fit as many fish that you can do as long as the parameters fine. I don't want to overload it, but I don't think my tank behind me is heavily stocked. But then he said to me, it massively is, and then I'm like, so it's like, yeah, I think I love the aquascaping. I love the therapeutic part of just setting something up and then like having it grow in naturally with the live plants and stuff like that. But then if I were to talk about like being a content creator now as well, I think that's a big thing that's like excited me and like gave me a new breath of fresh air, like a new life, like a new part. Like I've met so many more people now through doing this, like yourself. I obviously I wouldn't have um been meeting you
Yeah.
in the Netherlands. Like I wouldn't have been like speaking to all these others, and even like through doing this, people that I've watched as a viewer, like Fish Shop Martin and Big Fish Lad and others. Like I wouldn't have met them if I wouldn't have been creating the content. So it's like I really enjoy the content creation side of things, um, but I also really enjoy the aquascaping part too. And then I could even say I really enjoy the educational part, and that ties into um, the the content creation thing too, because I really like helping educate people through what I've learned. So hopefully I can, teach them, and that stemmed into now working in the shop too. It's frustrating because you tell it like you feel bad when you're telling people, oh, you can't get like this fish. Like why? Like, well, because this fish will kill that fish, or that fish will work well, or that one nips, or that one's too fast, so you'll never see that one. And it's like you've got to find that balance. So yeah, I think I they're like the three key factors I really enjoy, of course,
Yeah.
in terms of like the now.
Yeah, that's good. That last point you said about, telling people you can't have that fish or can't have that. I see that myself as well. It's like sometimes it's quite difficult to tell a customer that, for example, yeah, you can't have that fish with that fish, or that sometimes you have people who come in, and I always call them the skittle customers, right? So what they want, they want two of those, two of
Yeah,
those, two of
yeah,
those, and then I find it so difficult to tell them, like, you know what, it might be better if you just get 10 of those and then a couple of those instead of having two of each, because it'd be better for the fish. And it's always difficult to, bring them that news, because you see how excited they get about every fish. Um, but then in the end, I just tell them, well, you know what you can do? You get this fish, and then you get another tank, and then you put those fish in the other tank, and then you
yeah,
just get more
yeah,
tanks.
yeah. Pretty much, that's the answer to everything. Just get more tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it is a difficult thing because it's like you're trying to keep the excitement about it, but you're trying to educate them at the same time because you don't want to lead them down the wrong way. But like for example, a customer come in the other day and they went to another shop and they'd bought a female fighter. And they said, oh, we also had this really cool like blackfish, and like it was like wiggly like that and had like a white tip on the end. And this is in a Fluval Flex 57. Um, they said that their female fighter sometimes chases the other fish. I went, that's a bit weird. So can I see a picture of it? He went, yeah, show me a video. It's a male fighter that's been destroying all the tetra because they said, oh, our fish have been disappearing. Male fighter, ghost knife
mm.
in a 57 litre. I was like, oh my God. And it's just like, oh, like, how can places just like throw fish on people and not care? I don't know.
Yeah.
And give the wrong information too. Like I,
Yeah.
I I'll openly hold my hands up at times, and I'll even do it on YouTube and a live or in a video, and I'll hold my hands up and say, you know what, I'm not too clued up about it. For example, like the bigger cichlids and stuff like that. I've tried my hardest to like consume bits of information here and there and like look up and do my research, but sometimes I go, right, this is what I've been told, this is what I know, this is what I've been educated with. However, here's my phone, I'm going to type it up now and I'll tell you if this is okay or not. But I always say to the new hobbyists as well, like my biggest piece of advice to anyone if you're just getting into the hobby is, if you go in a shop and you like the look of something, before you even ask the staff, look up on your phone, search it, search like the name of the fish, and usually Google will do like a nice little brief of like what tank size do you need, what temperature, are they peaceful, are they semi-aggressive, are they aggressive, and then if you want to spend more time on that rather than in the moment, then go home and then there's people like us to watch. If we do a species profile or like an educational video on like a certain fish, then you get even more of an insight then, and then you can finally make your decision rather than going, I want that and I want that now and then I'll deal with it later. Like I try my hardest to not sell the wrong fish to people, but if people are really, really, really insistent and I'm like, it's fine, I say it's at your own discretion. You can do it, but if it fails, I did tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I always tell people like, the best research is your own research. Like, you go out, you do your research, you have a look at things, because people can tell you 101 things and they might be all different, but you just go with what you've researched. Maybe trust a person who you think knows their things, because that can sometimes be good, because if you trust that person with their opinions and how they do things, then that's better than taking bits and pieces from everybody. But I mean, it's always up to the people themselves what they want to do, But yeah, it's always a struggle with people wanting a certain fish and then can't really having it, but that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was funny here. Jody said, well, just be an ass and say I don't have a water bill, but my electricity bill is ridiculous. I guess you got that as well. I guess if you live on a well, yeah, then people don't have a water bill. All right, I think that's that. Right, next question then is, let me put that in. What is your favorite fish?
Oh.
And you can only say one.
I don't know. Genuinely, I don't think I have an answer. That's tough because, like, I love plecos and I love catfish and stuff like that. But then I really like dwarf cichlids as well. Like, I like all types of fish, but I think if I were to narrow it down, I think I really just like. I have an apisto tattooed on my arm, but then I love tetra too, like school fish. I bet narrowing it down, it'd be between them because I love the behaviour of a schoolfish and they like to display with each other and they have a pecking order. Like watching the raccoon tetra, they like flare up, they'll dance around, and then when I had blueberry tetra, even like they'd all swim in a line. And then, like one, it'd like creep forward and like do a little dance and try and work his way to the front of the pack to be the dominant one, and then that one would be fought back off and drop back to the pecking order. But then I love the dwarf cichlids, all of them, because of like the individual personalities. They're just so much more like individual and how they go about like the routine in a tank compared to like a tetra, because a tetra's in a group. You got your placos, they just hide a lot of time and they'll come out and they'll do their own little things and have their own little quirks. But I think it'd be down to dwarf cichlids. Like I can't say one.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to say one, I could say Hong Shui because easy answer, but I'd say dwarf cichlids, yeah.
Right. Cool. And then South American dwarf cichlids, yeah? Or just dwarf
Yeah.
cichlids in general?
Well, I say dwarf cichlids in general because I really like crabens as well, and they're African, aren't they? So I really, really like Crebensis and the Nanochromis transvestiitis and the checkerboard cichlid. I want to keep them. I don't know what it is. It's just like there's so much to them fish, and like I like the way that a lot of them pair bond as well, where they'll just stay together as that one pair for the rest of life. Like I think with cribs, it's like a common thing that happens. That they'll select the one female, and then once they're with that one female, that's it. Then they won't like move on to another.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah, a rabbit hole of types of fish when you say dwarf cichlid. But I think like the Epistos, the Crebensis. I do like rams. I'm not a massive ram fan just because of how delicate they are
Yeah.
and how they need the warmer temperatures, apart from the Bolivians, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like between Epistos and Cribs.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, just like the question itself is always difficult. I mean, I do have my favorite, which is discus. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But it's still difficult because it doesn't mean that I only like discus. I like a bunch of fish. And that's with probably every fish keeper. Likes almost every fish. I mean, well, not every single fish, but a lot of fish. That's why we're fish keepers. But I think, yeah, cool. Dwarf cichlids are cool for sure. I do like dwarf cichlids. The same things though, like what I find with dwarf cichlids, well, for example, rams and things, they can of course be a bit more, sensitive, delicate. Like, recently I had some issues with some rams, and it's just like, it's quite annoying because they are, when you get some healthy ones, they are beautiful fish. Like a male German blue ram is like so beautiful, But there again, it's like it's quite difficult sometimes. But I think Epistogrammas are a better alternative to rams. I think because they are a bit more forgiving in certain areas. But yeah. Let's see. We had a question from Tommy. Which aquascape inspired you the most to really learn the process?
Oh, that's a good one. Like I think I'll openly say this, that like I think the first time I stumbled across aquascaping was through George Farmer, and then I went down the rabbit hole of, once I started watching his content, it opened the doors to like many other content creators who aquascape. I think the main video of his that like drew me in was like, maybe I was looking up like, I knew of aquascaping through like pictures and stuff online, but he done like a video on Takashi Amano's display that he went and visited, and that really opened my eyes to like how many levels there is to it, and like how deep it can actually go. So I was really inspired by the likes of George Farmer. Then once George went and paid a visit to MD, that's when I come across. I think I'd maybe just stumbled across MD before George collabed with him the first time, and then I started watching MD a lot, and he's quite a personable guy, a lot more different than like the usual aquascaping channel, because they do the the usual peaceful like chill, relaxing music, and it's like an art, which it is. It genuinely is like an art, and watching people like create it is therapeutic. But do I find it, like, for my ADHD brain to be entertained for too long? No, I end up skipping through the video and watching the beginning, the mid, and the end, where I'd rather appreciate watching the full thing. So MD, then when MD went along to Fish Up Martin, started collabing with him when he was in the Maidenhead, that's when I started watching a lot of his stuff, when he started making his content. Yeah, it's there's of course MJ as well. There's Aqua. Where the one are they in? Where are the Aqua Pro? It's the one where they've got a big studio.
Green Aqua in Hungary.
Green Aqua, that's it. Yeah, Green Aqua as well. Like, they're very, very like on the far. There's like different levels of, because you've got the fish content creators, where you've got the aquascaping bracket, but then in that bracket there's so many types of creators, isn't there? There's the MD who's very relaxed, the fish up Matt that's very relaxed and like relatable and fun and cool to watch, and then you've got MJ who's kind of like, he's speaking you through it and he's quite very detailed but really good at it, and then you've got the Green Aqua and so on that go very very like the craft and whatever they're doing, and it's like I appreciate all levels, but I think like that's where I feel like George Farmer's like in between before that midpoint, like maybe him and MJ are like very like on that similar side, and then you obviously the others that are very still like crafting and yeah. So I think George Farmer started it, and MD like inspired me to give it a go, because he really paved that way for me to go, this isn't something that's intimidating to me, because I think like I knew of aquascaping from like early doors when I first started getting into the hobby, but I felt like a little intimidated because I felt like it'd be too much or whatever. And then when you see how MD was just like doing it with basic stuff that isn't that expensive, when you put it all into a list of what you're doing and seeing how he went about it, and then I realized I didn't need the CO2 kit, or I didn't need these Giros or these super expensive fluval lights. I just needed, something that had a bit of RGB in or whatever. And yeah, like I think MD is the main one.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, MD is the one bringing people in who think they maybe couldn't do it or thought it was maybe just for the pros, the aquascaping, but then showing like, well, actually you can do it on a budget, you can make something look really good, and it's just super simple, really,
Yeah.
But like you said, like I know what you mean with like that spectrum of like, you got MD here and then you got like Green Aqua there. It's like, whenever I go to watch Green Aqua, I'm just putting it on. Usually I put it on the TV because they got such good quality content. Like the video is so nice and crisp. Is like on a TV it looks the best,
Yeah.
And I just put it on just to relax and just to watch, Not so much to even learn from, because I mean they do kind of educational as well, but it's more just the process, right, of just seeing it happen and just, yeah, I mean, I do really like that. So yeah, I think that's good,
That's where I like enjoyed George Farmer early days, because like he was kind of like given that educational part where he was like showing you how to, but of course obviously he's just past that midpoint, as I was saying, like with the Green Aqua and stuff. And that's not to say that I don't really enjoy them. I do. I still will stick their videos on from time to time. I think the ones where people, you can see the guy who's doing it and they're talking to you and they're telling you how to do it, and like they're giving that like audience connection. Like I think that really does well for me, like my smooth brain, to be like, oh, this is, he's telling me how to do it. I'm not just watching him do it. Like I think that's what like gets me.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look. I did see some new people come in chat, so let's say a few highs here. We got Badlands Aquatics in. Nice to see you. Who else do we have? Aquarium Animals and Me. Nice to see you from New Zealand. We got Matt in here. Nice to see you. We got Moose in here. Nice to see you as well. Wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Let's see. I think that's it for new people. Oh, we also had AH come in as well. So he said, I know recently MD is steering away from calling himself an aquascaper now. Yeah. I mean, what MD is now doing, with his cameramans, I think is really cool. It's definitely like the level of content has gone up so much.
I,
Like,
th- I, I think it's given him a new life because when
yeah,
when when Matt was there, he had that dynamic, but Matt
yeah,
wasn't permanently. He was just there, of course, until he started his YouTube and started getting the funds.
yeah,
Um, but like it's given it a whole new life because he's got the dynamic where he's laughing and joking with the cameraman, but he's
mm-hmm,
allowed to be a lot more relaxed because he's not like his brain's not focused on I need to film this or I need to do that or I need to do this many takes. Now he's just like a run and roll and shot, and like yeah, I think it's given it a new life because as you were saying as well, with MD talking about not saying aquascaping anymore. And when he did have George Farmer pop over, he labelled him an aquascaper, and he had the guys from Aquarium Gardens come and labelling them an aquascaper. I think like there's a whole debate and a whole talk, isn't it, in like the aquascaping world that MD isn't a proper aquascaper, and you can say that, but I think anyone is. It's just if you want to be a professional aquascaper, then that's when you say okay, because then there's the attentive detail, the rule of thirds, and the triangles, and all these different compositions, and that. Then you go okay. But
yeah,
with MD, he's doing aquascapes and really good planted tanks, and ones that people can replicate, and that's where the relatability is for the viewer.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at his tanks, they all look beautiful and nice and good, but they never look like those tanks that win in the ADA competitions and stuff, you know?
Oh,
The ILPLC and things like that. Like those tanks are just on another level and they look just completely different. So, you know, that doesn't mean to say that MD is not a good aquascape or nothing like
no,
that, but he's a great aquascaper, but it's just a different way of doing it and making it more accessible to people. Because let's be honest, you see those tanks in the IAPLC, and what you just think is like, oh, I'd love to have that. But for
yeah.
many people, it's like not possible. Well, it might be possible, but just not doable. You know, it's like really on another level.
But when I gone to the PATS event, the trade show, when I first started working at Wirral Aquatics, we went round and we went to the Tropica booth, and they were selling a tank, and I think they were selling it for almost £2,000, and it was just a little 60 litre that had been aquascaped, but it looked unbelievable. Like it was pristine, the high CO2 highlighting, light up back and everything, and it was just shrimp in there, and it was unbelievable, but almost £2,000.
Hmm.
Oh, just for a 60 litre tank. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that's insane. Yeah, that's mad. Yeah. Um. All right, let's have a look. We also have a few more people here. We got Elaine in here. Nice to see you. Are we doing a quiz today? No, we're not, because I thought, you know, when we have a guest on, full attention to the guest. So no quiz today. We'll be back with a quiz next week, though. So don't you worry. We also got Stephen in here lurking. Nice to see you, Stephen. Hope you're doing all right. Did I say hi to Mickey as well? I know Mickey popped in earlier, but good to see you, Mickey. What did he say? You all forgot to mention the Master Aquascaper, Aquarium Adventures. Yeah, Graham is, you know, he's decent. Right, let's have a look. I did see another question here. So difficult sometimes to focus on just the questions, you know. Here, carry on question. Do you have a one? Wait, I think it says, do you want to be a known aquascaper?
No.
No?
Just no. I think I want to get better, and I am gradually raising the bar higher and higher, and like I'd love to be at that level. Do I think it's realistic? I mean, it's possible anyone can. It's just, do I think that is something that will give me the sole enjoyment? I think it stems earlier onto what we were saying about how I feel about aquascapes, is that I really do appreciate them and enjoy them. And this new tank is going to be the closest to like some kind of professional aquascape that I've ever done before. But in terms of the enjoyment of the hobby, I think I just enjoy keeping fish too much. Like, you know, filling out and ticking all the boxes for their needs and what makes them comfortable, but also having them in escape. So I think I'd like to get to a high level, but do I think I'll ever be competing in competitions? I don't think so.
Good answer. Good answer. Let's see. Steven says nobody wants to maintain those ILPSC masterpieces for more than a few months. Yeah, I can imagine. That's like a full-time job, just maintaining them. You know, it's like any imperfections. Oh, like that rotala. Oh, I have to cut that, or I have to do this, or.
Oh, trim. It's like Joe, who's in here now. He's entered quite a few competitions and he's been high up in the top 10 before as well. And like it takes months before a tank is ready. Yeah. And like they can't post it anywhere, they can't do nothing. Yeah. They just have to craft it for like almost a year and then have it pristine and ready. But like in between then there could have been algae, there could have been all these different issues, and they've been non-stop maintenance all the time. Super high maintenance just to have that pristine. And at the end of the day, it's all judged on one picture, isn't it? Like, yeah. I was saying to Joe as well, he takes about 500 before he selects one or two. It's like,
it's mad. Like, and just getting the picture, like how they do it with all the lighting and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I have a bit of photography skills, but just to that level, it's like, insane.
It's extreme, and I think that just. Yeah, I think it's its own art form, and I appreciate and respect anyone that does it.
Yeah. Right, let's see. Oh, we got another question from William this time. Okay. If you could pick and choose, what type of tank size and fish would you add if you had no limits?
Do you want to go? Is that directed towards me or yourself?
You, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I can answer it too, but you start.
I'll let you answer it first and cook up.
Yeah.
And then I'll think, because I've got stuff in mind, but I want to hear you first.
All right. So I think there's two things, right? So what I would want as like a dream tank, which I think one day I will have, by the way. It's not like unrealistic, but it'll be in the future when I have my own place and stuff. But it would be probably like a 2 or 3 meter tank. Maybe 3 meter would be the best. You got a nice decent sized tank, quite deep, quite high. Just a big tank. And then I would either want it full with discus or full with neon tetras. One of the two. So, like, if it was neon tetras, I would have 1,000 neon tetras in there. And if it was discus, I would have like 50 discus in there, or, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think one of those would be the thing. The only thing is, if you do like the neon tetras, is like, would you get bored of it after a while? Because if you see it like day in, day out for a month, then you've probably seen it by then, Whereas discus is like, discus are like personal fish, and like that's totally different, So yeah, maybe I would want to do both one time, but probably the discus would be my, I prefer discus in the end, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe not 50 discus, but you know what I mean, just a decent group in a big tank with a decent scape, because you don't want the tank too full with discus, of course, or for discus, because it's difficult for them to move around and things. So I think that would be my dream tank.
I think I'm like kind of similar in your mindset of like a big tank with smaller fish is like definitely something that I'd like to do. Like, of course, I appreciate the nano tanks and really enjoy them, and they're super easy to obtain. Like, my nano tank only do like top ups like every couple of weeks or something like that. A bit more now that I've added a heater to it, but yeah, something like a 5 foot or an 8 foot, where it's just low, like not with how MD done, where he put like Noah's Ark. um, you basically put every type of Tetra under the sun, and then
Yeah.
like big load of angels, and then their car in. I think that's overboard. I think I'd like, you know, maybe angels, but I'd like, you know, the dwarf cichlids scattered around and like forming the territory. You know, a bit like the Maidenhead Taunton display where it was like that, where there was a lot going on of different sized fish and different levels. Like I really appreciate something like that. So I think a lot of like smaller community fish, like in a huge 5 to 8 foot tank, where it's like maybe the angel being the biggest or a dwarf cichlid being the biggest in the tank, and then just fully like, you know, planted, and like there's things breeding left and right. There's like plecos and caves. There's cories scattering around in the front. Like just that image in my head. Like if I were to have that, that'd be my only tank. That'd be it. Maybe, you know, a rack or two, but like that, I think that'd be the dream. Just nano fish in a huge tank. I think that all stems back to the Takashi Amano kind of vibe, where he's got, where in them aquascape displays it's just a forest with loads of little fish in.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. And I think so recently with my, you know, I guess my dual 450 is classed as a big tank, right? Because that's 1.5 meters, so that's kind of a big tank, yeah. Like even then, I recently transitioned to, well, I still have angelfish in there, but younger angelfish, but also a lot more smaller fish. And like, for example, in that tank, I only put a group of 50 neon tetras, but that already gives you like the effect of a big shoal of fish. Like just 50 is already, so imagine having like 1,000. How that would be insane.
Yeah.
But you know, I've been adding smaller fish into that big tank, and that definitely has something, you know, just small fish in a big tank, because they act very, well, not different, but like just seeing the behavior is really cool. Of course, you can put big fish in a big tank, but that's kind of always will be the same. But it's interesting to see the difference between having, you know, small fish in a smaller tank versus small fish in a big tank.
It's just completely different behaviors. I had these raccoon tetra in my 57 liter, and they were very shy. They were reclusive. They weren't like, they were schooling, but like they weren't. They were just kind of existing. But then I put them in the 90 liter, and they swim around in a group. The constant, and like I noticed as well, getting rid of. I had 2 schools of different types of tetra. I got rid of that other type, the blueberries, or it. Unbelievable tetra, loved them. We'll definitely have them again, but having one species of like schooling fish, just that behavior, like it's just so much more natural, and it's so much more entertaining to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Right, let's have a look through chat here. Let's do a little catch up. Zenny said, okay, more coffee acquired. I got up too early today. So it was good. It's a balancing act. You don't want to spoil the hobby by overdoing it and losing sight of what means more fish over plants at the end of the day. Yeah, I think that's good. You know, it is difficult, you know, I guess that struggle between, do you want it to be just a beautiful aquascape and keep that picture, or do you want to keep the fish? You know, it's like, because usually an aquascape will look best with minimal amounts of fish. You know, like not, if you put just fish in a beautiful aquascape, then it kind of destroys the look of the aquascape.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that battle between, do you want fish or do you want the aquascape, you know?
And
so.
that's where I maybe like appreciate MD more as like the aquascaper that he is, not the professional aquascaper, but the aquascaper that he is, because like he aquascapes a tank where you can't, he there is a lot of fish, and like, but there is a lot of plants, so it counteracts. And like I really like, okay, sometimes it goes a bit too far with the forests where it takes over, but like I like watching the tank go from like, you know, it's nicely planted to then suddenly it grows in and takes over. Like this tank here, I started with a little bit of moss, just put that over the cross at the top of the wood. and it's just covered over now. It's like a mop, and the fish like breed and lay the eggs in there or hide in there sometimes. And yeah, just letting the tank naturally grow over, like that whole like simulation of nature just really gets me.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, I'll quickly have a look if there's any more questions here. Creddy Boy did pop in for just a bit, but he couldn't stay long. But nice to see you at least. I don't think there's any more. Let's see, there's a question from William. How are things with your daughter, in brackets, the small feet one? I don't know what he's on about, maybe you know.
William was in one of my lives a while back, and Mia was at the end of the bed, and like I think like I was showing my tank or something like that, and he said like, "Is that your daughter in the background, like 4 feet?" And I went, "No, that's just my girlfriend." You know, it was just like, yeah.
That's funny. That's the thing with like YouTube and internet is like, you put anything on the internet, people will remember. It's like the smallest thing can be in a live stream, and people somehow will remember and like bring it back. You know, it's weird.
Yeah, I think there's still a couple. Like I had the habit of saying a lot, and then now every time Fish Up Matt pops in the chat, he goes, It's like he won't let go of it now. Or people coming in like I made a joke I think when I was building the Lego Jaws set, and I was doing that. I'd done that live. Like it's the most I've ever gone live. I was just back to back to back because I was just wanting to finish the Lego. I was holding myself like responsible, and people were cracking jokes here and there. And people say a joke, I'm like, what? And now, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it is crazy, but that's why you always have to be a little bit careful sometimes with what you actually say and put out on the internet. But
yes.
Right. Anyway, let's have a look. I think that's about everything. Oh, Sarah won at the Fish Casino, won 1,000 points. Well done.
Oh, great.
All right. Okay, cool. I think we'll move on then with... So that was kind of the first few questions were just general questions. I guess then in between we did some questions from the people in chat, but now I got a few more specific questions.
Okay.
Related to you. Let's see. Let me get this in. I think this is question number 6, yeah? 1, 2, 3, yeah, 6. Let's paste that there. Put that in, select it. There we go. Do you enjoy working in a fish shop?
Yeah, I do. I think it's expanded. Like it's definitely expanded like my hobby a bit more. I think my first experience working in a fish shop, I wouldn't say that. I think the afters of that I didn't feel too great. But like working here at Wirral, like it's really doing me good. Like I'm having that one-on-one interaction with customers where I'm able to educate them and like have that conversation, and it's really cool because like people coming in now and they're watching my videos and they're coming in and say, "Oh, I watched your other video the other day. Oh, you seen that you on Big Fish Lads channel?" And they're coming in and just like, "Oh wow, that's really cool." And I think seeing the other side of the hobby too, of course, obviously being a consumer for so long and like going into a shop and buying my own fish and buying plants and buying my wood and all that, and now like being on the other side where we're ordering that in and like I can see the lists of what fish are available and like it's really exciting. And yeah, I think like it's opened my eyes to like a different part of the hobby. It's so like it's a lot bigger than people think, and there's a lot more that goes into it. And I think I really enjoy it. Like it's just allowed me to spread my wings a bit more. I think it again, like I was gonna say earlier, the whole how did you get into the hobby thing, and I ended up saying there's going to be a rabbit hole. Well, here we are. That I wouldn't have got to work at a fish shop, I don't think, if it weren't for the fact that I was making content. I think it gave me the confidence to go for the job, but it also gives me like that extra boost on my CV to go, hey, I make fish YouTube videos and like I kind of know about the online world, and that's how I've learned a lot of my information and contacts, etc., etc. So I think it made that full circle moment when I did get the job, and like I'm still really happy now.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good, you know. I think a lot of people have the idea of wanting to work in a fish shop, and it's like, it is also really cool, but it is also, you know, hard work in the end of the day. Like, there's a lot of things you have to do when working in a fish shop, and things to keep mind of, and you know, you also need a bit of knowledge. Well, I guess that also comes with just working there and doing it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not as easy as people think it is, I think.
No, it's not at all. Like I think, like you were saying, it's not as all rainbows and daffodils and flowers and that. Like it's you know, you get a fish delivery and say that delivery's been delayed and it's been sat in another country before it gets sent, and it's like a wild order, and it pulls up and there's like 1,000 dead fish. That's not nice. When you're doing a death trap in the morning and you're pulling fish out, that's not nice. When you're having to treat tanks and see ill fish, like that's not nice either. But it's like all part of it. And again, maintenance. We all love a bit of maintenance or hate it. It depends who you are. I enjoy it, but when you're doing it every single day, like that, oh, it does get tiring. But it's like it depends who you are. It's not as simple as I show up, I get to be around fish all day, and then go home. Like no, there's a lot more. You've got to keep the wheel turning. You've got to be involved in it, and of course, then there's the customer side too. Like I think I said on one of my lives a couple weeks ago, like around Christmas time, a customer come in, and you've probably maybe had it yourself, or you may come across it at some point in the future when you've expanded your shop, even, or the bigger you get on YouTube, the more people that come in. Is that we had someone come in and they come in and they went, I want a fish tank. I went, okay, so here's this, plants, rockwood, all that. They're like, yeah. I just want to choose my fish now. I went, yeah, in 2 weeks. They went, no, I want it now. I went, it's not possible. I went, it is. They just there went, no, it's not happening. So they stormed out, come back in with the husband, and he come over, and like she brought him in to be the bouncer, to be the tough guy. I explained it to him, went, okay, and he left. It was just like that interaction of they demanded it there and then. Was like it's not nice to tell someone, especially if it's like they're thinking it's the ideal Christmas gift, and like their son or their nephew or someone really wants this tank, and like it'd be really cool for them. No, you got to do it properly, and like it's a good and a bad thing. I don't like telling, like I said earlier, and you said, I don't really like telling people no, but I've got to give them the reason for no. I can't just say no and then walk away. So I guess that's like a tough part of it too. But it's just about giving people the correct education and a reasoning for it, and just saying like, if you do this, this is what will happen, and like they've got to take your word for that, I guess. So it can be like it can be stressful sometimes, but it's all in goodwill. At the end of the day, I think like I really enjoy it, and it's as I said, it's that full circle moment for me where like I'm quite fortunate to say that I work in a fish shop and I was able to get a job in fish keeping. Like it's something that I'm really passionate about, I really enjoy, and not many people can say, oh, I got a job in the hobby. Like I think especially now with like a lot of shops more and more are like closing down, and it's like either these bigger I think it's like the case in the UK that a lot more these bigger warehouses or these bigger scale shops, or maybe the chains like the Maidenheads and that are like the ones now at the top of the chain that like these smaller businesses will struggle. But it's about, you know, feeding back into the hobby, and that's why I was really excited. Again, like the breeding thing that I was saying earlier, it's something that our shop's very hobbyist for the hobbyist. It's like buy a hobbyist for the hobbyist kind of thing, and that's what excites me.
Yeah, that's good, you know, and I guess that's also why, you know, because I love the fish hobby so much, is why I want to make my job out of it, you know, turn that hobby into a job, which I'm in the process of doing now, you know, with everything I do. But it's like, you know, I guess a lot of people, yeah, would want to, you know, make their, well, like, I always see, like, as the best thing you can do is make your hobby your work, right? Because there's nothing better than doing something every day that you love doing. You know, because I know a lot of people who just work for the sake of working and say, yeah, well, I have to make money and I go to my day job 9 to 5 and I don't really like it. And then they, you know, they end up not really being happy about it. And I think, and then that leads to like people being depressed and all that stuff, you know. So I guess, yeah, it's good to, if you can make your hobby your work, that's the best thing in the end.
For sure. Like at the end of the day, like as I was saying, like I'm very fortunate to say that I've got a job in something that I enjoy doing, and like I thought before getting this job as well that the only way for me to make money from fish keeping was to make YouTube videos and TikTok and all that, like social media, and I, you know, openly admit that I make like a little bit, but it's not enough to be living off at all. Like it's just a little bit, and any money that I do make just goes straight back into the hobby anyway. So it's yeah, unless I like overnight suddenly hit 1 mil, which I don't think's happening. That's it really.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, you know. All right, let's move on. Let's see if there's any question. I don't know. I'm way behind in chat. I did see Mia was hopping off, but that was like maybe 20 minutes. Well, not 20 minutes ago, but 10 minutes ago. So
Yeah,
she probably won't be here anymore. But thank you for being here. Right, let's see. There's a lot of gambling going on in chat. You know, with the points, people can like. They can gamble their points or go to the fish casino and do all type of things.
Oh wow.
And that's what people enjoy doing in the chat. So let's see. We also got BJD in here. Nice to see you. Well, let's see. William says, work in a fish store. The 10,000 question. You always learn and evolve. You get to hear all kind of things and play detective to figure out how to help. That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
100%.
Let's see. Another Adam is in chat as well. Adam Reynolds, nice to see you. Let's see. I also think it's the safest way to let a tank mature before adding fish. I know some people do fish in cycling, but they also test and change water every day. Yeah,
that's like a whole debate in itself. We had a guy come in the other day and he was insistent that I had to sell him fish because he has this product. It's similar to that nitro goop, which is like one that you slap on your filter and then you can add fish in and like it instantly matures your tank. Or I froze then. But yeah, I think there is products that do that, but I always, regardless, say to people, for example, shrimp, I always say to people, have your tank set up minimum a month for shrimp. I think shrimp are super delicate. They prefer to be grazing on natural like biofilm and stuff like that. The more mature the tank, the better the success. You can add them in, they may survive, but the longer it's set up, the better. And that's the same for anything. I think that's why I've taken my time so much with this tank setup that I'm doing now, because I want it to be right. I want it to be ready. I don't want to just add fish and then hope. Like I can't afford to do that, especially since it's not fully in my control. I'm dependent on Mia to do water changes and do maintenance, and she's very good at doing that, but she won't be able to know if there's an issue, because we were on FaceTime earlier and I've been monitoring one of my cories. I've had a gold laser now for like almost 4 years. I've been watching it the past couple of days and it's been glass surfing, and I know that's a sign of breeding, but this doesn't, like, it's doing it now and it's way too persistent. And I've tested the water, everything's fine, I've done treatments. I just think maybe it's getting old, maybe, and it's maybe, you know, on its way out kind of thing. So it's just, yeah, like she started to get good at noticing like behaviors, like if there's any stress or illness, but I can't just throw all that on top of her. She's got a lot of other things that just having the tank there, it's meant to be something nice to look at, not stress.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I still always tell people, like customers, I mean, most customers do know, because that is the general thing that still gets told here in shops, is like, you have to cycle your tank for, well, most shops say like at least a week, 2 weeks, something like that, you know. So there's not that many people who come to me saying like, oh, I got the tank today and I want fish now. Not really that many. So, because I think, you know, generally you can do a fishing cycle. I've done it many times before.
Yeah.
But that comes more with experience. The more experienced you are, you know how to look for things, and like, you know, if a fish is not doing well or whatever, then that's easier. But just for beginners, it's always best to just let the tank run, you know, just let it run. And then, you know, a tank matures with age. Like, for example, the thing you said about shrimp, I think that's really good, is like shrimp, I'll never put shrimp in a brand new tank, you know. I definitely want the tank at least to be like a month old before you put shrimp in, because they generally do just graze around on things that are in the tank, and if it's brand new, there's nothing in the tank yet.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think,
you know.
I think it's like also a thing as well that like it's not just the shop covering ourselves, or any shop in general like covering themselves when they do say the 2 week thing. I think it's also, you want that person to have the best success possible, and like that is the bare minimum, like having that 2 week period of cycle, maybe a bit more, it takes some people longer, but you want to set them up for success. You don't want to set someone up where all the fish die and then they leave the hobby. You want to keep that person, you want to bring them into, if they're new, you want to welcome them in, and you want to get them into it even more. You don't want to just set them up for instant failure, and that's, you know, the most we can do is advise them that period of time where it's enough to maybe have the cycle just ready and settled to start adding the first fish. But yeah, I think it's a difficult thing, isn't it? Where there's a lot of, some places will end up doing a thing where they'll tell them, oh, it's fine, you can do the fishing cycle, but obviously, as you said, with time, with it being a mature hobbyist and with experience, you're then able to do that because you know, oh, daily water changes, oh, maybe add a bit of stability, oh, maybe add plants or whatever. Whereas a new hobbyist wants the SpongeBob pineapple and they want the fish there and then, and you go, it's not possible. Let it relax, let it settle.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's have a look. Steven said, I like money, hate having to work for it. What a ripoff.
Don't we all?
Mike says, I could never deal with retail customers. I enjoy dealing with shops directly. Yeah, that's good, I guess. I mean, I guess Mike is an example of somebody who, you know, does breed fish on a kind of a mass scale, on a mass scale, and then breeds them for profit to, you know, sell to shops and stuff, and makes a living out of it. So I think, you know, it's definitely possible, but there again, he has 300 plus tanks, and now is moving into a warehouse, and you know, breeding thousands of fish. Like, you know, he's got for, let's see, this year he's got like a contract with a wholesaler, and he has to produce in 6 months' time 600,000 tetras, the glow light tetras, because they're like special and stuff. And so, you know, he has to produce so many fish in kind of a short amount of time, which you need a lot of space, and you know, it's like, it's not the average day, everyday thing that somebody would do, you know. So,
yeah.
There's definitely situations, as you can see, where people do make a living out of breeding fish for profit, but it's just not many people, you know.
It's got to be at a large scale, as we said earlier.
Yeah. All right. I think there's no more more questions in the chat. Then I'll move on to my next question, which I guess this is already kind of answered. I'll put it in though, just to have it as a thing. Let's see. So, well, I guess, have you always wanted to work in a fish shop?
Not always, no. I think when I started the content creation again, I think I got that bug to maybe want to work in one again, because it goes hand in hand. I can work alongside fish and like learn about them, and then be able to relay that information within my content, and be like, you know, like the excitement of working with customers and stuff like that. Like, I think that's what drew me in. But did I always? No. I think retail isn't for the faint of heart. You know, you're gonna have some days a person that's just gonna throw stroke or just throw a curveball at you. And I'm talking from experience of working at Lego for a year and a half. Like, you had people come in throwing tantrums in a place that is regarded as a kid's toy shop. Like, you know, it's one of them that it's difficult, but if you get the hand of it and you're used to it, then it's fine. And that's where I think, I enjoy it, and I wanted it. If I were to go, like, that's what I said. If I said to myself after I left, like, I was in Lego and was actually quite comfortable, but I was looking for another job, and it was going to be out of retail. But when I seen a fish shop opportunity pop up, I knew I wanted to go for that straight away. Because any given opportunity to work in the hobby is a blessing.
Yeah. And so, do you then see yourself working at the fish shop for like a long time, or like a longer period, or is it just like still a short-term thing, and then afterwards want to do still something else?
Like, I'm really excited to see where our shop goes. Like, Steve's incredibly knowledgeable and has got like a really great mind, and like his ideas for what he's bringing to the hobby in the northwest of the UK is like, it's raised the game up. A lot of different shops have now started doing similar things to ours, and like I think like from like the first idea is, oh, the copying, but then you go, well, no, this is better for like the average hobbyist, like they're all getting like a decent.
That's Coco. There's a firework outside, and then she starts woofing, of course. So
I was quite fortunate to meet Coco.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people want to meet Coco, but you know.
But yeah, like I said, I think I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm invested, but we'll see. I'm not in any kind of mind frame at the moment. I'm just taking it as it is, and I'll see where I'm at in the next few years, whether I'm at the fish shop or elsewhere. Regardless,
Yeah, cool. All right, next question then is, let's see, this one here. So what is the best part about working in a fish shop? So what do you think is the best part?
The best part is, I think, like, it's the learning side of things. Fish that I've never kept, I get to look after in the shop, and of course the natural behavior is never going to be apparent in a shop. It's like a shop, it's quite a stressful environment for fish. You know, there's people walking past all the time. Some fish that are super shy. If they are super shy, then they're going to be hiding all the time or in the corner. But it's like learning all the different behaviors, and like maybe like I think as well, like spotting if there's any issues with fish, because then if I'm at home, I know straight away what to do. And I think also the perks of getting to see them list sometimes, and seeing things that, you know, as a customer, you'd be begging another shop to get in, but because you work in a shop, you may be able to get that in. So I think that's maybe a cool thing. But yeah, I think the best part about it is it opens a lot more doors for me as a hobbyist.
That's good. Yeah. Oh, that was another firework. Sorry about
It's all right.
that. All right. I got another few questions. I mean, some of them we've already kind of like discussed, but I'll just put them in anyway.
Okay.
Plus, if anybody else in the chat has a question for Adam, put it in the chat, and then we can go through those in a little bit. All right, here. So, what is the biggest thing then that you've learned through working in a fish shop? Like, is there a single thing that you would say, oh, I really learned this here and I wouldn't have learned it anywhere else?
That's a tough one. There's like a fair like lot of things really. I guess like maybe the treatment side of things. Like I've got a better understanding of like treatment of like fish and like what you need to do. Like I think as all hobbyists, when you see like a sick fish in your tank, it's panic station. What they need to do, they need to run up the fish up there or Amazon Prime a medicine or whatever, and you go, well, no, it just like I think rule number one is being calm. Do a water change and then do your treatment like cycle of the 3 days or more, depending on what you're treating. I think yeah, that's like a thing that I've definitely learned about. And as well, just learning about fish that I think learning about fish that I'd have never kept before as well. There's some fish that I've learned about that I really enjoy, and like, yeah, I think it's that, yeah.
Cool. I think, yeah, you know, learning about in a fish shop, you learn really quickly about sick fish, medications, things like that. So I guess that's a good thing to then apply if you ever need it in your own case. You know what to do and things like that. It's like, I think that's really good. And like you say, you know, getting to kind of keep all the fish, or at least you see all the fish, right? All the different types of species, things you know may have never really tried because you were like, I don't really like that. But then you realize, oh, that's actually a really cool fish, and I want to keep it myself.
Yeah.
I think I found for myself that enjoyment of before I wanted to keep pretty much every single fish, and now I can order any fish I want,
Yeah.
just to have it or to see it, but then also sell it, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah. Right, we got a few questions come in. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, this is not really a question, but Sarah's saying really making me want to have a job in a fish shop. That's cool.
It is good.
Qualig Moose is asking, does working at a fish shop take away from the enjoyment of the hobby?
It does and it doesn't. Like I think I really like I enjoy this side of the hobby because this is what I'm in at the moment. But I think I'll also say as well that it takes away from being the consumer of the enjoyment of getting really excited, like waiting for a list of a shop or seeing what they're ordering in. Now, I haven't had the need to go to another shop now because everything I need comes in and it's ease of access. So I guess it takes away that excitement of wanting to go to another fish shop because they've got this in or go there or whatever. So it does take away in that part of it. And I guess as I was saying as well, you know, if you're doing water change all the time, I enjoy it and it's fine and it's part of the job and I've got no problem with it. But when you're doing it all the time, like I come home and then I've got to do a water change, then I'm like, ugh. But you know, regardless of that, I wouldn't say it's like a massive negatives. I guess like the positives outweigh the negatives for sure. It's just it depends who you are, really.
Yeah, I think that thing you said about, like, at least what I found with myself is like, since I have my own shop, really, I've lost that excitement of going to a fish shop to get that fish that you wanted for so long.
Yeah.
That you might have even been saving up for or whatever, you know. Like, that side of it, that has just disappeared with me. I don't really have that anymore, which I do think it's a shame because I do remember back in the days where I would just have a limited amount of tanks and I'd be so excited to go to the fish shop to get this or that, or, you know, and like now having it all is just, it takes the excitement away. I guess it's that happens with anything that you can have. Like maybe if you like, I always use this example of like a lot of people will want a swimming pool in their back garden or whatever, and then once you actually have the swimming pool, you don't use it as much as you think you would. Like I know I have a friend who they used to have a swimming pool which was inside actually,
Yeah.
and they were like, you know, so excited to have it, and then when they actually have it for a couple of years, they don't use it that often. So it's kind of the same concept, I guess, with, you know, going to a fish shop and like getting the fish you want versus having all the fish that you would have ever wanted. So yeah, I think that was a good answer to the question. Let's see. Would you ever keep monster fish, and if so, what would you keep?
I'll see. This is a fun thing actually through working in the shop. Like we were saying earlier about fish that I'd probably never have kept or thought of keeping. Like seeing an arowana in our display tank in the middle, or the stingrays. It's like I've never considered them, and watching like that, I've maybe considered them, but I just don't think I'd enjoy them that much. I think I get bored of them too quick. But I think, yeah, if I were to keep any monster fish, arowana, rays, maybe some bigger plecos, Oscars. I like the look of Oscars, but again, they're all quite mean fish, and like whenever a customer comes in, they're quite new. They're like, "Oh, I've got neon tetras. Can they go with that?" And I go, "No, no." We've got a tank we call the Thunderdome, where all the big mean fish are in one collective, so the aggression bounces out between them all, and it's like, oh, I really like that really blue cichlid there. Oh, it's a Jack Dempsey. Everything on that part of the shop, yeah, no, and like, really, I'm like, yeah, and like, oh, so you can get a dwarf cichlid, and then you can still get a good majority of that, and then like, oh, okay, so that's where I'm like, yeah, I don't think monster fish is my cup of tea, but if I were to, the Oscars, the arowana, rays and stuff like that, they're really cool.
Yeah, I think I'm the same with you on that. As like, I guess with a big tank I have in the living room, I could have some monster fish, but it's just like something that I don't really want, and I guess my parents don't really want that in their living room because it's a different style of tank. You don't really have plants and, you know, a whole scape. It's just more about the fish, and it's like a fish tank, which nothing wrong with that, you know, that's cool. So maybe one day in the future, but for now.
It's just like very limiting, I think, for like for like all the parts of the hobby that I enjoy. I think it just take away all of them parts, just have fish in a tank, and at that point I'd be bored of it within a week.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. All right, question for you, but that really covers us, doesn't it?
It does.
I can barely see you.
Yeah.
Let's
Question
see,
for the...
what fish are common and available for you, but hard to find elsewhere? I have found it crazy the price of things like pea puffs in Australia, but they are cheap here.
Well, I remember having a conversation with AV, and he was saying it was $12 a fish for a cardinal tetra.
Wow.
And in Canada, albino cories were regarded as a rare fish.
Wow.
So it's crazy to think. I don't know. I'm quite blessed where I am, because obviously our shop, we can order a fair lot of stuff in. But then we've also got Pier Aquatics, which is like not far from where I am. It's maybe half an hour on the train, and they can get pretty much almost anything, because they have fishermen working in different parts of the world catching the fish for their shop. So it's like, yeah, I'm quite spoiled. So there's not a lot of stuff that we can't get. But in terms of what I've got here, yeah, like I could say, for example, my raccoon tetra. They started to become a bit more common in the UK, but I don't think they're a super common fish around the world.
Yeah, I think, well, you know, like you said, pea puffers is a good example of, like, you know, around here, I guess in whole of Europe really, even US, like they are quite cheap. But then if you look at Australia, all of a sudden they're like $100 each, which is like insane, you know. So yeah, I know. I don't really know that many. Well, all I know is that just fish in Australia in general are expensive. That's all I know really. It's like, because all the rest of the world, I think it's all about equal, but maybe example, you know, in Canada or whatever, it can be a bit more expensive or, you know, whatever. But also sometimes I've found that in like the US, sometimes some fish can be more expensive there as well. Like where I pay a couple of euros, they would pay like $20 for a fish.
Yeah, I think it's all dependent on the import and like how easy it is to get that over to where you are, and like again, what's the border situation and stuff like that as well. Like I think it was probably a lot easier maybe 10 years ago before Brexit happened in terms of like what fish could come in and all the tax fees and additional fees and stuff like that. But now like some fish are a bit harder to obtain. Yeah, it's crazy, just all the rules and regulations and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the UK now, the zebra daniels are getting banned, right?
Yeah, like I said, yeah, and I've done a few posts now. Like they've been banned because it's not actually because of it's actually a very specific reason. They carry a pathogen or parasite that wouldn't affect anything in a tropical tank, but it affects like the local fish in our waters and people. It always happens, unfortunately, when people have fish that they've bought for the tanks, they'll just dump them in like a local body of water because they think they're letting it be free. I'm trying not to swear. And by doing that, they're killing all the native fish in the country because they're dumping some, you know, fish that has come from wherever, and it's just releasing parasites. So it's understandable, and like I think they're still going to be obtainable, but it's similar like the zebra pleco, where you can see now that you can get zebra daniel. Oh, I've just had a message. Johnny's watching the live.
Oh.
He's saying from a Fish Up Manager's view, you can get zebra daniel via Indonesia. It's about them entering the EU. Yeah.
Right.
So it's I think it's the EU, not just the UK even.
Okay.
So it's like they'll still be available, but it's just like they're gradually going to become harder to obtain as time goes on. But they'll still be available. They're very easy fish to breed anyway. But in terms of like a zebra pleco, it's a whole different ethical situation in it, where it's like deforestation and, you know, them being overfished because they were a very popular fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I feel like I'm just going.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I have the same thing of like going in circles about things, you know, but it's fine. Let's see. Zenny's got another long question. Do you ever have disagreements about fish keeping practices with the other people running the store, and do you bring it up or let it go?
Not really, no. And if I do, and like majority of the time, it's not something that's going to be groundbreaking. It's just we all have different levels. For example, like if I were to say in a disagreement with Stay, is that I could say my friend's a fish breeder because he has natural tank setups and the fish have been breeding in there, and go, no, he's not a fish breeder. He just has fish that breeds in his tank. I was like, okay, well, there isn't any kind of like really serious things that have any problems. We're all on the same page, and it's like very level, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Sarah said there's a local shop here with some pseudos. I think those are the pseudomoguls.
Yeah.
At the moment, can't remember what type, but they're red and $60 a pair.
I think you're on about Luminatus. Yeah, it's crazy. I think in some parts of the world they're a super extortionate fish. Over here we can get them cheap as chips.
Yeah. Same here. I was considering, so I got a fish delivery coming tomorrow. I ordered a bunch of pseudomogul furcatas because people were on the hunt for those. But the wholesaler also sells the luminatas, which are a bit more expensive. And with what I mean with a bit more expensive, they would be sale price here, selling to customers like maybe €6. But that's what people find expensive when they can pay like €3 or €3.50 for furcatas, you know. So
yeah,
that's like the
it's
thing.
it's always a difficult thing having that sale. Like, I got a guy the other day who wanted to buy like a different school fish, and he already had 5 blueberry tetra. I said, just get more. I know they're a bit more expensive, but you'll just get a better behavior. Trying to convince people to get a more expensive school fish is hard because they'll look at neons and go, they're £1 each.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing, because then people always kind of want the cheapest or like the best value, right? They want like the best deal. And then it's always like, well, neons are like super cheap, you know? But then people actually want this other fish that is a bit more expensive. And then they're like in the debate of what do I do, you know? And then I guess that's the same. That's why I haven't ordered in the luminatas, is because I'm not sure if they would sell that well. They would probably sell to the people who really want them, but to like the average customers, like, will they sell well to them? That's like the question. So
it's difficult.
All right, let's have a look. Let's skip through a bit here because there's a lot of things here. Rye is in here as well. Nice to see you. Question: what is Adam's favorite EBO food?
Oh, that's it. I really like the ProSoft Artemia. I think it's super good. It's versatile for all like types of fish. If I want to feed it to my pisto, I can roll it up between my fingers. I'll grab it.
Yeah.
If I want to roll it up between my fingers, I can make it like a pellet if I want to. Where is it? Been moving a lot of my stuff around. I've been trying the. There it is. It's a bit beat up, but the ProSoft Artemia, really like it. It's like a powder and like basically baby brine but dried. And let me just get a bit so you can see like there. It's like a powder.
Oh yeah.
And like
if
I
make it bigger. Look.
Oh great.
Oh wait.
Oh, I just froze.
Yeah.
Oh no.
There we go.
Okay. Right. So
make it bigger.
I can roll it up between my fingers, and now it's like a little pellet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see here.
And like it will disintegrate quickly because it is a powder, but like that's a good way like for fish that don't like eating smaller food. So I really enjoy that, and like it's quite good to be able to spread it in. My curries will eat it. A lot of my other fish will as well. And I do like the veggie sticks and the mussel sticks. They're really good for bottom feeders. But out of all the ones I've tried so far, this is really good. And I've had this since 150 grams. I've been feeding it to 2 tanks. I've had it since August, and I'm only not even halfway through.
That's really good. That's really good, yeah.
Now my fingers.
Yeah. This is kind of funny. Yeah, JT, I always wanted a girlfriend. Then when I got one, I realized it was way overrated. I guess you can apply it to everything in life. All right. Let's see. I still enjoy going to shops and seeing what is new. Planning a trip to Florida in a couple of weeks to bring back some fish not available here. Nice. Let's see. Oh, we're nearly rounding up on the 2-hour mark, which is insane.
Wow.
It's flown by.
It has, yeah.
Let's see. Does it also much depend on import regulations, how rare some fish are, which
Yes.
are common in Europe? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Steven says, I have 30 raccoon tetras that were quite pricey for tetras, like $15 each.
Yeah, the £8.50 here, so that's about right in the US. Yeah, the £8.50 each, and I lost one the other week out of I think it injured itself and it started to heal, but it just ended up losing the fight. Unfortunately, I was wounded, and the reason I've got a jump net on that super fish tank is because when they like to breed, they like to jump, and I found one on the floor after work, so I wasn't happy either. It's quite painful losing expensive school fish.
Yeah. I was saying, Steven, that's like $4,000. Oh no, it's 400. Yeah, like $1 million if you round up. See, what are you saying? This is about the Zeridanians, I think. They can carry the pathogen. Daniel's goldfish, koi, shrimp. Just wait, Adam. It's not done yet. More to come. Okay. Let's have a look. Right, not much there. Stefan is here. Hi guys, what do you think of the father fish method? Deep substrate, no water changes, etc.
I'm laughing because I know that father fish is super controversial in the hobby. His methods, I think, the deep substrate thing is really good. And if you do low stocking, it's probably good as well. But for the average fish keeper, his methods are probably quite difficult. I mean, it's easy to do, but difficult to maintain on a long basis, I think. But again, I haven't really. I've done deep substrates before, accidentally, as you know, Jack, and I had issues with that. But I think it depends on the person. I think Father Fish is telling everyone from his experience on what has worked for him. But this hobby is a hobby filled with everyone who has different opinions. You could have kept Cardinal Tetra. They could have been the most peaceful, nice school fish you've kept. Someone who's kept Cardinal Tetra, someone else who's kept them, they might have been the most aggressive thing going. Everyone's got different opinions.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I haven't per se. I mean, it depends what you would like. For example, in my big tank downstairs, what I have is I have nutrients capped with sand. Well, nutrients capped with gravel and then sand, which I would more say that's more the MD method of, like, you know, just having nutrients in your substrate. And then, like, I have a ton of plants because I know a ton of plants will be good ecosystem, they'll take care of it. And I guess in the end that's led to me not having to do many water changes. Like, I'll do maybe a water change every couple of months, you know? So, but would I call it the father fish method? The father fish method? Not really, I don't think, because I think that's still even a different style, which I'm just not completely into.
I think the last thing of his that I recall was he was telling people to put the dead fish in the substrate, and I was like, depends what your substrate is.
Yeah.
If it's thick enough, and it's all everyone's own take, I guess.
Yeah. See, I think you can sometimes go to the extremes where it's not really needed. Like, I'm sure you could put a dead fish in a substrate and that'd be great. But is it really needed for the tank to succeed?
No.
Not at all. So it's like, there's extremists and there's extreme scenarios, which I think for beginners is really not needed. Beginners just need the beginner's thing, you know, the beginner setup, and that's good enough for them. You know, more advanced hobbyists, they can get into all the extra little nitty and gritties and things like that, you know. So yeah. All right, let's have a little look then. I'm getting a trio of Lake Wanam rainbow fish in the coming days since Jack convinced me that I should breed some rainbows after watching his vids. That's cool. That's cool. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. Oh, we got. Let's see. How many Normans? Oh, wait, that's not a question for us. I don't think. Or is it? How many Normans Lampa Killy in a 22 liter? And what other things could I keep with? Oh, I guess that is a question for us, yeah? So what are those? Are those the...
They're the lampai killifish. They're like a silver bodied like fish with a bit of a yellow tinge on the fins with a bright blue eye. I would,
yeah.
it's like having a schoolfish in a nano tank. I'd probably say I wouldn't recommend it. I'd maybe say 30 liters for like 5, but like 22 is a little small. Even then, I don't 5 and maybe be pushing it. I've got 2 scarlet badders in my 15 liter, and I think that might be too small for them. And that's 2 little tiny fish. Yeah, I'd probably say shrimp would be better. And if you were going for them killifish, maybe a pair or trio, at most, if you are spawning them. But if you're just keeping them in there, then I'd probably opt for something else.
Yeah.
I think schoolfish does benefit from a way bigger tank anyway.
Yeah. The Wallstad method is solid, not for me, but sound and based on science and honesty. Right. Okay, I think we kind of... Most saying, I only use the JD keeping fish method in my fish room. What does that mean? Because the majority of my tanks are all bare bottom for breeding and selling, just because I find it's the easiest, really.
Yeah.
All right. I think then I'll got one final question.
Okay.
To make it 10 questions, just because that's just the autistic me in myself, you know, of like it's gotta be 10 questions. Then we can't leave it at 9.
Okay.
Right, here we go. What are your future plans? That can be anything really, whether it's channel related or whatever. What are some future plans?
Obviously I'm finishing the setup on the 125. Once I'm done with that, that'll be like me done in terms of setting up my own tanks for the temporary future. The plan is to obviously move out and my own place, have a fish room, whether that's aquascape setups, which it probably will be, for the first run, and then as time goes on, might move again and then have something else. But yeah, the aim is to have a fish room, to have more tanks, for the channel to get way bigger. I want to have a way bigger platform, and that, again, that's down to me at the moment. I've been suffering a tad bit of burnout. I'll be honest, but yeah, I want to grow the channel way bigger. That's an aim. I want to set up more fish tanks in the near future, and make more videos. Yeah, it's and then video plans. Get more types of videos done, like broaden the horizons. I think I'm really enjoying the editing that I've been doing recently. But yeah, I think if I were to say a future plan, probably better equipment and not be. I think once I get over 10k, I think I'll invest in a camera and like a laptop or something to edit on. I think that's something I'll do. But for the time being, I'm a small fish in a very big pond.
Good, cool. Well, I think that's a wrap then, because well, it's time, so you know.
Yeah.
We'll be going for long enough. Let's see. Have we got any final? I don't think so. There's one question from Mickey, but I think that's more for me. Maybe Mickey, just send it in the Discord, and then maybe even William can help out because he's got more experience with diseases and treatments than me. So yeah. All right. Was the adult Jack a tougher interviewer? No. Is that a question for you or me? I don't know.
I think that's for me. Yeah, no, it's fine. It was perfectly fine. It's funny because it's the first time you've interviewed me.
Yeah.
I've followed you around with a camera in your own place for
Yeah.
a good hour, and then I've had you on a couple lives in the past.
Yeah.
Like you see me with my giant list.
Yeah.
I think it flowed really fluently and great. Yeah.
I think so too. I think it went really well for the first real like interview. Like I've had before a guest on, but that was kind of different, you know. But this is like, and I want to start doing this once a month. That's the plan at least. So once a month we'll have a guest on for the rest of the year and then next year and whatever. But I think that's a good way of incorporating it a bit, because if I'd have to do this every week, I couldn't do it. It's just also too much work to a certain point, because it might sound really weird, but me just coming here on my own and just going on and doing a couple of things, so much easier than having a guest on. Like it's great, I really enjoy it, but it requires a bit of work and effort, and you know, from like I'm doing a couple of things at the same time, because I first have to, you know, listen to what you are saying, but then also look in chat if anybody's got questions then, and controlling the live stream, you know, things like that. But I think it went really smooth for the first real time. So
yeah, I've done like quite a few interviews in like last year, but I've started again with AH a week or two ago, and I think that went really well. The 1 month thing, yeah, I think 1 month's great, because if I'm doing it every week, I get burnt out, and I think I want to give people the right energy as well. Like if I'm giving someone a guest spot and like they want to talk, then like that's great, and let them do that. And I don't want to be sat there going, yeah, and looking at chat. Like I want to give the full amount of energy possible.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Yeah, so everybody just thank you for the stream and stuff. Well, my pleasure, and I hope your pleasure as well. Let's see. That's that. Yeah. We missed the quiz. Well, that's the only thing. People miss the quiz, but you know, it'd be a bit difficult if we had this and then also having to do the quiz. Like, I don't know how we would work around that. But the quiz will be back next week, so don't worry. That's not disappearing anytime soon. All right. I think that's it. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you, Adam, for coming on.
No
appreciate
problem.
you coming on. If somebody can one of the mods can put the links to Adam's channel and things in the chat, that'd be appreciated. Check him out. Check his channel out. Maybe even check the tour he did of my tanks back it's coming up a year ago soon. Well, okay, maybe not soon. In a couple of months' time, it'll be a year ago. So that's cool. Go check that out. There you go, Zen. He's already put it in. That's awesome. Let me get my end screen thingy ready. So thank you guys all for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button. We're at 27 likes. Can we hit 30 likes by the end? That would be great. And yeah, I think that's all. So thank you, Adam. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you guys all in chat for chatting and asking questions. I've enjoyed it. But anyway, have a great rest of your day. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.